I finally have my own long sword. By which I mean I have a long sword, not a long sword. Well, I do have a long sword, I have a sword which is quite long, but I mean quite specifically that it's a long sword, one word, which is a particular kind of sword. And it wasn't the longest sort of sword. There were longer swords than these. Not that they called them longer swords. Well, I suppose they could have called them longer swords. But they also called them, I don't know, great swords and stuff. But anyway, this is a long sword. And since I've now got one that's very special by being mine, I thought I'd mark the occasion by talking a bit about it. What could I say? Well, I thought I might talk a little bit about technique. Before this goes any further, I should say now that I'm not trying to set myself up as any sort of master of the longsword or anything. I'm just someone who's qualified enough to talk about it, but that's about it. Yes, here I am in my front room, and I've been trying out a few techniques, and as a result I have 2 new holes in my habitat globe. But no matter, it's all good fun. The first thing I'm going to say is that the temptation when you get a two-handed weapon is to go with it and really put loads of oomph into a blow. This is really bad technique. If you commit loads of mass and muscle groups to a direction of movement like that, yes, you get a very hard cut, but you also commit yourself to that movement rather too much. It's not a very interruptible move. So if I get this far through and realize, oh, he's doing something I wasn't expecting him to do, maybe I ought not to make this cut, it's very difficult to stop yourself. If you do take a really good swing at someone and miss, it's also quite difficult to get yourself back into a good guard position to protect yourself. The main reason, though, I would counsel against going with a two-handed sword or other two-handed weapon, other than that you look a bit of a wally, is that it's very tiring. You won't be able to do that for very long. If you put everything you've got into a blow, well, you haven't got everything you had for the next blow, have you? Instead, you put your good hand up by the guard. This is the hand which is going to do the fine control. This is determining the direction of the blade, and your offhand, I'm right-handed, so my offhand, my left hand, goes on the end, and that actually does the physical work of putting the power into the blow. And you can hear that the tip of this sword, can you hear that? Goes pretty fast. You have quite a bit of control. I can stop it pointing at the camera if I want. And I don't use up anything like as much energy. And that tip's going pretty fast, so that's enough to disable an unarmored opponent. I don't have to bisect him, I just need to hurt him enough so that he can't hurt me back. So these sort of movements are much more controlled and much less tiring and better technique, and so people won't laugh at you. I've been practicing stabbing with it, of course, and you can stab two-handed. You can also stab one-handed and get a little bit further, and you can also stab one-handed and get further still. Do you see what I did there? I let it slide through my hand and got an extra 8 inches of stab. But I'm not going to be doing that in a bout with an opponent, because this is a sword that's blunt. It's for HEMA, Historical European Martial Arts. Yes, at some point in the future I will actually be trying to hit another person with this, but I don't actually want to hurt them. And during those extra few inches of stab, I'm not really in control of the blade, so I don't think I'm going to be doing that in a bout anytime soon. But in a real fight, I might, certainly in a duel, do that. I wouldn't want to be caught at full extension holding the sword like that. If a third person came in and was able to hit me in the hilt there, I'd be in a bit of trouble. He could disarm me. But against an opponent who wasn't expecting it, weren't expecting that. This particular sword was forged for me in Hungary, and it's a style which, though far from unique to England, was popular in England with the straight quillons and the pear-shaped pommel. The quillons, you'll notice, are fatter at the ends, then they go thin and they fatten out again in the middle. I chose that style because well, that's the shape of quillon of the prop they used for the sword Excalibur in the film Excalibur, and that's a good reason!